Is that all there is? Sing aloud, will you? Is that all there is? Good. If that's all there is, my friend, then let's keep dancing. Let's break out the booze and have a ball. If that's all there
Dave Friedman.
I tried to get Peggy Lee to say my name, but hi, how you guys doing? Very cool. Thanks for coming out. Get my own personal teleprompter here. We gotta. So my talk for this evening, is that all there is? So is that all there is? Yes. No. Maybe. Okay, thanks. It actually looks like what I came up when I did this. The talk is going to have a lot more questions than answers, but that's okay because I don't really have any answers anyway. So there you go. And here we go. Okay. So is that all there is? Is this all there is? And what is the this that we're talking about? The way I see it, there are many, many thises. One this is what we see, feel, hear. One this could be a situation or a place in time. One this could be a whole life experience. Or maybe this is just a thought or an observation about something. So in order to answer the question, is this all there is? We have to define what is this. So the obvious place I think to start is right here, right now. Let's start with the this that is this all there is in this instance, which is this room, my clothes, you, me, okay? At some level, it's very obvious that this is all there is. We see it, hear it, taste it. Okay, maybe we don't taste it. How about we smell it? We can touch it, okay? These five senses are what we use to experience the physical plane. We've done it our whole lives. Dr. Ernest Holmes points out that everything we see, touch, taste, feel, or hear, or sense with the physical senses is an effect. I think that our five senses tend to separate us from that which truly is, which I believe Holmes is referring to as the cause. So riddle me this, Batman. Do we depend on what is not in order to help us see what is? And just to make things a little clearer, Holmes goes from things which are seen are not made of things which do appear, to what we see comes from that which we do not see. Clear, right? I would like to suggest that our five senses separate us from what truly is. I would like to suggest that our five senses don't really tell us what the truth is. But they don't not tell us on purpose. They do tell us what we are physically perceiving, and at best they only hint at the truth behind what we are perceiving, and then of course only if we're looking for it. So to get to the truth behind what we are perceiving, we would have to look past what we see or hear or feel or, okay, taste, and be open to picking up the messages, both subtle and meta, that may be hidden right in front of us. And I realize most of us aren't naturally attuned to those vibrations, but we can train ourselves and become attuned if we like. And that's where our spiritual practices come in. Meditation, silence, being in the now. So what are we missing? Here we are conscious, alert, fairly intelligent. And I'm telling you that what you see and what you are experiencing may not be all there is. Well, then what else is there? So here's an example of a metaphysical this. A concept Albert Einstein talked about in 1938 called the unopenable watch. He says, in our endeavor to understand reality, we are somewhat like a man trying to understand the mechanism of a closed watch. He sees the face and the moving hands, even hears it ticking, but has no way of opening the case. If he is ingenious, he may form some sort of picture of the mechanism which could be responsible for all the things he observes. But he may never be quite sure that his picture is the only one which could explain his observations. The he that Einstein is referring to will have a different picture than another he who is picturing something that he thinks, or who has his idea, a different version of his watch. So this suggests that we may be relatively sure there is something underneath or behind everything we see, which would be the mechanism of the watch. But what is it? And if it's different for everyone, no matter how subtle the difference, then what is the reality? And does this begin to shed some light, or at least point to some proof of us creating, or at least somewhat determining our own reality? Einstein finishes his musing by saying he will never be able to compare his picture with the real mechanism and cannot even imagine the possibility of the meaning of such a comparison. So in the metaphysical, is this all there is? What is it that you think you see, and how does it compare to what you are looking at or looking for? Can we agree of the possibility of more? But what is the more, and what does it mean? All these questions. American theoretical physicist Richard Feynman explains it this way. In the case of the chess game, the rules become more complicated as you go along, but in physics, when you discover new things, it becomes more simple. It appears on the whole to be more complicated because we learn about a greater experience. That is, we learn about more particles and new things, so the laws look complicated again. But if you realize that all the time, what's kind of wonderful is that we expand our experience into wilder and wilder regions of experience, and every once in a while, we have these integrations in which everything is pulled together in a unification, which it turns out to be simpler than it looked before. Right? Reminds me of Troward. So this could be analogous to our life experience. Well, my experience anyway. I learned more things, did more things, started to realize how big and wild and crazy the universe was. And for a while, my universe got pretty big, wild, and crazy. And then as I got a little older, I did start to see how everything appeared to be connected and how simple at their core things truly are. The scientific minds of Einstein's time were excitedly, nervously, and almost begrudgingly learning about what appears to be behind everything. Excited because it was new, different, and interesting. Nervous because it shook the foundations of everything they knew up to that point, and begrudgingly as they had to accept those new paradigms as fact. And even in the face of what they were observing, they had a hard time grasping not only what it was, but what did it mean? The study of everything, or the nothing that is apparently at the core of everything, is what we now call quantum physics. I have this, what I think is a real simple, at least one of the simple basic concepts for this talk anyway. So, you know, when we have things like skin or the table, or things are made out of stuff, right? And that stuff has molecules and atoms and protons. And then you get farther into the atoms and the protons, and you get like borons and quarks, and you get farther down in there, and you got murons, and there's morons and all kinds of stuff down in there. Morons. Anyway, you keep going down in, I think they go electron microscopy. I love saying that, electron microscopy. And you keep going down, and you know what they find when they keep getting down there all the way at the bottom? Nothing. Or everything, depending on your view. Deepak calls it pure potentiality, God, spirit. And what was being observed appeared to change based on who was doing the observing and what they were looking for. So again, what these scientists were starting to hypothesize and then actually prove was that our intentions do have an effect on or can actually change observable phenomena. And as we metaphysicians, as we know, our thoughts create. Again, Dr. Holmes concurs. Wherever the image of thought is set, there the power to create resides. So here might or might not be an example of a paradoxical this. And is this all there is that the answer might be maybe? Webster defines paradox as a statement that is seemingly contradictory or opposed to common sense, yet is perhaps true. For instance, we state often that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Can we be both at the same time? Do we even know what that means? Can we be aware of being both at the same time? I don't think so. I think it's next impossible to be aware of two things at once. I even have trouble just walking and chewing gum. In each singular moment of now, we are either aware of our spirituality or we are aware of our humanity. For instance, some of you may have experienced being in the zone. You know what that's like? You know, you get into this space and you're just, it's almost like you're watching somebody else do something. And then you come out. And then you're thinking again and you're aware that that happened. See, and I think that when you start thinking about it, you're no longer there. We'll have to talk about that one sometime. In the human realm, we are here to do, try to be, learn, experience, feel, laugh, hurt, grow, love. In the spiritual realm, we just are. In the physical plane, we are the cover of the book. And use our spiritual practices and ever-growing awareness, we try to understand and embody the information in it. If spirit is pure, it is the cake. Humans are the icing. Yes, we can be both. Yes, I actually believe that we are both, but I really do think that we can only be conscious of them one at a time. And as we find the balance in ourselves to live both a good, spiritually led and physically connected human life, we unconsciously share and spread the inner light that is inherent in each of us, kind of humans sharing a spiritual experience. So now I'm thinking that this really started out as something simple. And the more I got into all this is, the deeper it went. And that could be a metaphor, I think, for just looking at the cover and having no idea what the book says. I have a couple of real life examples. So I call these situational thises. And these could be taken either at face value or based on the individual's interpretation, or which would be the cover, or by deeper examination can be, deep down into the book. And like the chess game, then it ends up being very simple. I was talking to this guy whose folks were interned during the Holocaust. It was actually his folks. And he talked not of the war, not of the death, not everything they went through, but of the German people who helped them, the goodness that helped not only his Jewish family, but many, many others. What's behind that? I have another instance where some kids graffitied "Lil Psycho" on a neighborhood wall. Not only did it just abase the neighborhood, but it caused feelings of uneasiness. You might be able to imagine that. All of a sudden, "Lil Psycho." You had to be psycho to put that up there. This is one of those neighborhoods where most folks have lived there for, ever, and everyone knows everyone. They share everything: pomegranates, wine, cookies, everybody buys stuff from all the kids, all the camaraderie and stuff. You've heard of these neighborhood rides. You probably even live in them. But very quickly, without a lot of fanfare, some guy walked across the street with a spray gun and the graffiti was gone. So looking under the cover, we find that this Lil Psycho is actually a past gang leader. I've actually passed in both senses of the word. And it seems that these kids were just looking something bigger to align themselves with. They're trying to find their own space in the world. Sound familiar? Looking beyond the obvious storylines of both these events showed me that there's more than what originally appeared. I think they're both examples of a deeper love and a desire for a connection, for a oneness. And in the case of the kids, they were looking for a connection. In the case of the Holocaust, their connection ran so deep that they were willing to risk their lives to help another human. The connection? Connection. To what? To a this which is not seen. So we've touched on a physical this, an observational this, that turned into a metaphysical this, and a situational this. So what other kind of thises could there be? Is there another way to be? Is there another dimension, other realities? And then, alongside of is this all there is, I find, is that all there is? I think is that all there is comes under like, are you kidding me? Is that it? You know, that comes from a place of lack, discontent, unrealized expectations, not enoughness. And of course, expectation being the main ingredient in the recipe for unhappiness. So here may be an example of is that all there is, which is a close cousin to, is this all there is? So I'm going to ask you a question. Those of you in a relationship, how's it going? Do you ever ask yourself, is this all there is? You don't have to answer that, at least not out loud. How about those of you who aren't in a relationship? Do you ever find yourself saying, is this all there is? So are we always really looking for something different? Are we always trying to find greener grass? And is it really truly greener? I think this wanders into a general what else is there, which applies to jobs, hobbies, passions, and even our spiritual journey. Can I have more? Do I want more? And what would I do with it? Is this all there's ever going to be? And what is it that might be the more that I'm looking for? There's an answer. It seems to me very short-sighted to suggest that what we see, what we have, what we are, or what we do is truly all there is. If we look closer through the physically obvious, we may find that what we see here in the physical plane is is just a representation of reality, but not reality itself. Ramana Maharshi says we are so engrossed with the objects or appearances revealed by the light that we pay no attention to the light. I can't avoid the light. It's bright up here. So how can we know for sure what lies behind what we see or lies past this plane? Aren't we just supposed to accept what is? I'd like to remind us here that accepting what is isn't necessarily condoning it, being content with it, or even allowing it to continue. It's just being aware that what it is at this moment is what is. So by asking, again, is this all there is that a subtle suggestion suggesting that we're not content with what is? Another paradox, perhaps? What else might there be is where belief comes in. The research I've done and the feeling that I get when confronted with certain information makes me know that there is more than just what we see here, and it verifies for me that there is so much more out there, so much more in here. So there's this new saying I've run into. I'm not sure if you've heard it yet. It goes like this. It is what it is. You heard that one? Yeah. Are you tired of it? Right? Well, it is what it is. How we see it is how we see it. How we deal with it is how we deal with it. Therefore, what happens in our space is, well, what happens in our space. We can only control what we control. Whatever will be, will be. You know. But how we react or respond to what is totally our choice. More importantly, we do not have to succumb, nor should we, to any kind of negativity or other outside influences that may be surrounding whatever it is. What we are observing in every moment of now is being seen through the coloring and through the filters of everything that we've ever experienced up to this point. We're not judging this to be good or bad. We're not judging or deciding that it's something you may want to change yet. It just is. Now, what would happen if we kind of emptied out all of our pre-existing ideas and invited in a brand new way of seeing? Kind of like a blank slate, a beginner's mind. How might that change or color our experience? And wouldn't we be creating a new this? And just maybe would this new this be in line, more in line with the this that we would like to be experiencing? And at the very least, we would be creating a new experience. Is this all there is? I find that this kind of introspection generally seems to show up later in life. Many of us have spent our life reaching for that golden ring or whatever, and maybe we've succeeded at some level. And now we have some things and we may want to step back and take a look at where we are and wonder, is this really all there is? I've actually had moments where I've thought, if so, then, why bother? So there's one more aspect to think about. Is this all there is to me? Not me, Dave, but you guys say that all to yourself. Is this all there is, to me? And is there any difference between me and this or any situation? Isn't what I'm perceiving my own universe? And is there truly any other universe than mine? If we truly are one with all that is, then maybe, at least in our own space, we are all that is. That's cool. So then one might ask, what does it all mean? I think that when we combine that question with, is this all there is, we may be finding ourselves generally at the beginning of a process of bringing closure to one part of our journey and looking for what we may want to do to complete it. Being aware here allows us to then consciously call up our inner knowingness that we can be, we can do, and we can have whatever we want. And in that knowing, we have the power to co-create, and then we have the experience that we're looking for. I would like to encourage us, and yeah, I'm talking to me too, to be more aware of where it is that we are. Is anything else going on? Of what it is that we're doing, wondering if we're missing anything else. And to move consciously with purpose towards that better vision of ourselves, towards the all that is that we see for our lives. Is this all there is? Maybe. In each moment of now, with our awareness and our acceptance of what is, coupled with our vision of what could be, we have the power to make this moment and the next, whatever it is we want to make of it. Is this all there is? No. I know there's a lot more. And I encourage you to look into it, to be present, be aware, be on the lookout for the good. Then look through that good to the other side and align yourself with that one presence, the one spirit, that one isness that we call God. A place for celebration, knowing, comfort, safety, peace, love, connection, and all that we hold sacred. Is this all there is? Well, if your answer to is this all there is yes, then this is all there is. Enjoy it. Break out the booze, keep on dancing, and have a ball. Namaste. Thank you.